build, or you can just leave it the way it is, like I live here.
Okay. And so the home where one of the lots sits on, or where the home sits on one of those lots, that one, how big is that lot? And you
Uh,
said you can do Airbnb on it.
yes, so I've had other people try to buy it and look into it, but it's tough to get financing because it is commercial zoned,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a hard thing. But the house sits on its own 1.25 acre parcel, and
Okay.
then when you get a chance, you can see the map. It shows you 3 other parcels connected to it, and those go with the sale. So a total of about 5 acres.
Okay. Total about 5 acres.
And then you can develop, like I said, the other 3 if you want.
But you would have to do commercial, correct? Because now it's commercial zoned.
That's right.
And yours, where your house is, it's still zoned residential.
It is. So it's basically not still zoned. It's just its use can be residential.
Okay, I
So
get you.
own commercial, but you're allowed to do Airbnb and you're allowed to live here.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, because my understanding is you're a little bit open to terms, right? Like some creative financing.
Yeah, I could do that.
It's a little bit easier to do because, as you said, that it is harder to get finance on commercial zoned properties or land. It's very true. Those are all basically going to be cash purchases. And so if somebody doesn't have the cash, typically what happens is they give you like a really low ball offer, or another way that somebody can make this work is through, creative financing, seller financing, or whatnot.
Yeah, that would work. I mean, the only thing, okay, I'm just going to tell you, Allie's working with Hawaii, and the only thing I made the mistake of doing over there, I did the same thing, but instead I signed over the grant deed. And what I would like to do this time is not sign over the grant deed. We open escrow, but I don't want to. I would like to do a 5-year note with some. So in other words, interest only payments for 5 years, and then a balloon payment.
Right. I understand. Okay. And
So
then, so typically when I work properties like this, um, how it works is depending if you have a mortgage and equity, we take over that mortgage and payment plus equity. And what we do is you keep your name on the remaining mortgage or whatnot, and you put yourself in a second position for the equity. And we do the same thing. We put in escrow. We put our names on title of the property. And what we do is we sign a couple documents, but one that protects the homeowner is called the performance mortgage deed, which states that though the property is deeded in our name at the moment, since you're the lender on it, we're basically the borrower. You're like the bank to us. What happens if down the road, let's say worst case scenario, we default on payment, something were to happen like that, right? And so we signed this piece of paper that states that if we default on payment, that property will get deeded back into the owner's name, and so it's there as a safety net for protection for the homeowner. But I'd first need to underwrite it to make sure to see how I would be able to cash flow correctly. So we that's why we always underwrite to make sure that we're able to keep up with the finances, which will be fine.
okay, I mean, I'm willing. Look, I'm willing to look at pretty much anything. I had a guy offer 30% down, and then interest only payments for 5 years, and I don't know. I mean, whatever. I'm good. It's my thing is I need roughly 80,000 to go buy another property and additional. If I could get like 50,000 just for like a cushion for me. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where.
And let me see. I found the photos. It looks really nice. Looks like it could be a really cool Airbnb. Take a look at it.
Oh yeah, and just so you know, I've kind of done under the table some weddings here too. So
Yeah, it's gorgeous in the inside. What you've done to it.
well, the inside can. I mean, I was telling Hal it needs a new kitchen, a new bathroom. If you're going to do Airbnb, that's the thing. It won't cost $100,000. It'll you could do it for 20 and have a really nice bathroom and a really nice kitchen. It's very small, so it
Okay.
doesn't. It just it needs some new finishes. Maybe, I mean, there's nice, decent black appliances here. My tenants before put in, but it would take too much to get some nice used stainless steel, even.
Yeah, I get you.
So minor updates would make this place really look good. The walls are a foot thick. You really can't move the walls around. You can't do too much rebuilding of the house. It's kind of the way it is.
Right, right. Let me see. So let's see. Yeah, it's nice. Why are you selling it if it's looks like a
Well,
really nice property just to even live in?
yeah,
That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I really don't want to move, but because I'm in a situation with I did not know when I moved back up here, and my tenants moved out. So I moved back up here, and I brought my potbelly pigs, and I got into trouble last summer about, not really trouble, but I was just told that they're not allowed in the city limits.
Okay.
So that was a year ago, and I'm just kind of laying low now.
Do you just have them as like pets for yourself, or?
Yeah. I'm like a little sanctuary. I have 8, and
Oh, wow.
I decided that, well, I'm just going to go to the country somewhere, buy 20 acres or maybe 40 acres, and I'll become a real full-fledged sanctuary on more land. So I'm going to take my little 8 pigs. I could give them away and not even move. I could definitely do that, but I don't want to do that.
No, I understand because I have a lot of French bulldogs. I have 8 of them as well.
Oh.
They're amazing, so luckily I can keep them.
You can't move into a studio condo,
Yeah. One of my goals is, because I want more. I want some other animals. I'd like to get some land as well, something large where I can put extra dogs and other animals, and horses and stuff.
And you can do that out here. I mean, that's the nice thing about it. I can go outside of town here and buy, for $50,000, I can get 20 acres, So it's not going to be like that forever, but it's still an option, So
yeah.
But that's just kind of my plan. It's going to take around 75 to 100,000 to kind of get me out of here, and that's kind of what I tell everybody. It'd be nice to. I mean, I can always get creative with the financing where I go, possibly too.
Where you go? Where?
When I move to somewhere else, I got a guy that he's asking 80, and he'll take 40 down payment. So that may, help me out too, and help the person buying my property out.
Okay, I got you. Because I'm looking at it, and I know that I won't be able to pay that $75,000 or $100,000 down. Because typically how I work, I would be calling a lender to give me that, so I would have to make a payment to that plus what I owe you, and then I got to see if I can cash flow. So I know that wouldn't work for me, at least.
Okay.
What happens if you can't get somebody to give you 75,000 or 100,000? Like, are you just gonna have to sit there for a little longer and try to get somebody that is, or because I know that I can, and I'm just curious.
The thing about my situation is I'm kind of fluid in that I got this property in Hawaii that they owe me money over there, and there's a very good chance that there's a few $100,000 over there that's going to come out of that sooner than later. And that would be, I would just keep this property, move out, and then turn it into an Airbnb, or I may just rent it out to somebody, flat rent, straight up renting,
Right.
Which I really don't want to do, because I did that before. I did rent it for $2,500 a month. It's definitely it's not too hard to rent it.
So that's funny that you said that too, because the property that I got in Yucca Valley, it's an actual real estate agent and investor, and so I do a series of creative financing. I'm working on an Airbnb in Mariposa right now that I'm going to be purchasing, subject to the existing mortgage, which is they have no equity in the deal and they're just trying to move. So I was taking over their equity and their payment. But the one I have in Yucca Valley it was for lease, and I just called the agent on there, which is the homeowner, and I just let him know that I do Airbnbs, and not only do I purchase properties for Airbnbs, I sublease them too for Airbnbs, and I ended up subleasing the Airbnb in Yucca Valley, and then I just got a lender in place, and then he helped me furnish the property, and we underwrote the deal, and we added like an above ground pool, and we're about to open up in 2 weeks, so we're gonna start that off.
Well, this property wouldn't take too much. I mean, it's high profile, and
I mean, that's one thing that I can do as well. I can also, sublease it and turn it into an Airbnb. And typically, what I do for when I manage my properties is I typically get a 1 year lease with a 3 year option. And if that's something that you're open to as well, we can always explore that route. I can look at it, the Airbnb, um, underwrite it that way, so I can look at the revenue and out there, because I haven't done one myself in 29 Palms, and I'm looking on the map, and there's a little bit out of the ways from other other little like neighborhoods, but that's why some people would like it too, because of the space, and it is nice, So that's one way as well where I can come in and sublease it, or we can still talk about me purchasing it, but I just know that I wouldn't be able to get closer to that 75 number 100. I would probably be able to, I don't know, go 15, 20,000. I know that I wouldn't be able to do too much, maybe a little bit more. I just got to talk to my lenders and underwrite it with them, but I wouldn't be able to do, the 75. Would you work with something a little bit lower, though I know you need more?
I don't know if I have the option is the thing. If I was to sell Hawaii, then I would have the option.
Right.
Kind of where it's at. Literally this next week, I've got several people, including Allie, really like getting close to doing something. I can tell, because if somebody doesn't do something, I'm going to foreclose on it. And so that's kind of where there's a real critical time frame that's going on here. Like next week has to be something.
Are you on that property? Or is something going on with like why you're going to foreclose, or what's going on right there?
Yeah, in Hawaii they stopped making payments. So basically, I have a $390,000 mortgage over there, a lien over there, and they stopped the payments, and then they hid behind COVID for a couple of years.
Right.
There's a moratorium on foreclosure, so they're just kind of crooked people, to be honest. Even though I tried
what's your monthly payment like with the interest, tax, and insurance right there?
Well, they stopped making the payment, but it was around about maybe $2,000 a month.
Is that what you pay to the mortgage, or is that what they pay you?
Oh, they pay me. I don't. They have the mortgage, not me. So in other words, I'm the bank.
Oh, okay, I get you now.
So the one that allowed them to buy my house, my tenants, they bought my house. I connected them with someone, basically loaned them $725, and then I loaned them the balance, which was $390.
Okay.
So they made payments, and then COVID came in and they just quit. And now that's all passed, so I can start foreclosing again, or they can sell the property. So they finally decided to sell the property May 1st over there.
Okay.
It's either that or they're going to get foreclosed on, and that's where it's at right now.
So is the remaining balance that they have is just on your note, or is there an actual mortgage still in place?
Yeah, there's a first and a second totaling about $1.2 million.
Okay.
Now, property's worth about $2.5 million, but they'll lose it if they don't, if basically somebody doesn't step up here pretty soon and buy it, even for 1.5, and they walk away with 300 grand, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to lose the property. So that's kind of where, I'll get my money back out of it, which gives me I'm in a much better position to sell this property and, come in with 15 or 20 grand, and, that'll be your down payment. And I'm good, because now I have other money.
Yeah.
But right now, I just don't have it. I just don't have it to move on. I need it to physically move.
Okay, so like let's just project, right? The situation doesn't happen the next month or so, or they don't sell it, and when you foreclose on it, what's going to happen next for you?
Basically, I get the property back,
okay.
And then basically I have. There's a better chance that there'll be people show up at that foreclosure. So there's a 95% chances somebody will step up and pay 1.2 because it's worth so much more. And so it's a really beautiful property, and so I'll be made whole is what's going to happen.
Would you, let's say you foreclose on them and they get them out of there, and it's taking you time to sell? You're gonna are you okay? Are you like financially stable to keep taking care of those payments, or would that be like an option where you would have to foreclose on that afterwards?
Well, the way I believe it's going to work, I have an attorney, but I believe it's going to work that if if it goes to an auction and nobody shows up at the auction, then I'll take over the property, and I basically now I have to take over that 725 note as well.
Right.
Pay that guy off. So I don't really want that to happen. So it's more likely because of it where it's at, because they only owe 1.2, that there'll be a whole bunch of people bidding on that property.
Right. What if I have a buddy that has a couple Airbnbs out there, and I have a good like network system where we do a lot of creative styles financing, and if there was a way where maybe we can even, besides the one we're working on over here, but if that's what you need taken care of first, if we're able, because it sounds like a sticky issue and we can help out with really sticky issues. We're not the normal cash buyers. I mean, I would sit with my team, a couple people on the board, and analyze. And what I could do too is I can even email you over some credibility of some of the projects that we're currently working on and businesses that we own. And my main partner, lender, and my mentor as well, his name is Pace Morby, and he has his own A&E show. It's called Triple Digit Flips, and has a whole bunch of mentorships and whole bunch of businesses. He's somebody I would call and see if there's a way that we can underwrite this and help you. If there was a scenario where you needed help, is what I was saying.
Yeah, and see, here's kind of the thing. There's a little bit of a backstory that's developing here all of a sudden. About 6 months ago, I tried to buy the first note of 725. And so I have an email. The guy wants to sell it. Okay, I'll buy it. I don't have 725, but I could probably find somebody. Well, then he changes his mind, and they're out of Indian Wells, California.
Oh, I live right here.
Oh, you do?
I live in Palm Springs, but Indian Wells is about 15 minutes. I live in the valley.
Yeah. So this company I connected my tenant with is LTV out of Indian Wells. And so in October, the guy writes me a letter. He's a real hothead. He writes me an email and says, I'll sell the note. Okay, great. I'll arrange for that. Well, then he changes his mind. Well, then Friday of last week, literally, they said, oh, yeah, the hard money guy wants to sell his note again. Oh, okay. So the truth is 725, and then out of 390, they paid down some. And so I'm owed just roughly 300. So there's anybody that's got about $1 million, they could cash me out, buy out the first, and they would actually control the note, because the note itself can be called. It's a hard money loan out of Indian Wells, and that note is callable at any time.
Okay.
And so they don't have 725, let alone my 300. They don't have 725 to pay that. They'll lose it, and you would basically own the property for $1 million. That's just what it comes down to.
So there would be an opportunity to buy this for $1 million, and it's worth 2.5.
Well, they have it listed for 3.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's like what I've been understanding too, since I work not only throughout the United States and virtually in things, I've talked to multiple realtors as well, and some of my main markets besides California are Atlanta, Orlando, and Tampa. And I work with a lot of realtors, and they've been telling me that a lot of investors that are purchasing properties, or homeowners that are purchasing newly renovated properties, that the properties are taking longer on the market, less offers coming in, and the negotiations are stronger and numbers are going down on as far as how they're negotiating. And I've been seeing it too, because I talked as well with a lot of investors, and we've kind of we still buy, but what we do is we're a little bit more conservative. We're not trying to spend 85, 95 cents on the dollar anymore at this moment, as we don't know what's really going to happen with inflation over 8.6%, and it's it's kind of crazy right now with cost of materials and things.
Yeah.
So
Well, the Hawaii situation is literally fluid because that just happened. I mean, everybody else I've been talking to up until Friday, I was telling them they're asking 3 million, but if they don't do something, they're going to lose that property. They owe about $1.2 million, around $1.2 million. They better take what they can get. Well, now the better person would be to step up and buy the notes and call the note, and then you end up getting it. They'll lose the property. They will not have the ability to, pay that 725, let alone my second.
what's the the interest rates on the hard money loan?
10%. So they're making about a $9,000 a month payment between the high interest, 10 or 11%. It's very high. It's a hard money lender, LTV.
Yeah.
And they're kind of crooked actually too, because what LTV has done is signed a document with me back in 2016 and said that it would be a 1-year note. Well, then they needed 6 more months. Okay, I signed that document. Well, then all of a sudden, they just decided we're not gonna collect on this. We're just going to let the tenant let the person make payments. They're making, $7,000-10,000 a month. They're just going to collect that. That's what they've been doing for 4 years.
Wow, they're making a killing, aren't they?
Yeah, they're making a ton of money, and I'm not making a dime.
Yeah, that's tough right there. They're making so much money. Jeez.
So they've made a ton of money off of basically my tenant, and my tenant's stupid. They're not paying down their loan or anything. They're just barely making the payment, getting by. And now, from what I was told on Friday, they also have not paid their taxes. So that's a first. So they're getting backed into a corner, and that's why, honestly, the best thing is to buy somebody that's got $1 million should buy out me and buy out the first and control the property that way.
Yeah, because it's pretty sticky, that one. One of my lenders on this Yucca Valley property, he's also my partner. His name is Brad. He's really, really good at notes, oils, gas, things like that. And he'd be someone that I could jump on a phone call with at any time, and maybe he'd be interested in picking up that first position note.
That's the best way, because that way you got to, whoever does it, I would just tell them, number one, of course, you got to get a copy of the contract and look it over, make sure you're comfortable with it. But it was a hard money lender. I'm sure it's written to the benefit of that lender, not the tenant,
Yeah, for sure.
It's written so that they don't have to go through hoops and hurdles to get that property back. And that's kind of the only thing, is that whoever were to buy this, they really need to study that first. My second is straight up. It's just a 19-page promissory note, that they signed. But it doesn't really even make any difference, because it's the first that someone's really going to come after.
Exactly. Yeah.
Call that note immediately. I was telling a lady yesterday or Friday, I said, if I were you, I'd buy it next week and call the note on July 1st. They have 30 days to, that's it. And they knew that way back when they signed the document.
Wow.
So, it's a little dicey, but it certainly would change my world, because then I get my money out of it,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I can be a lot more just, negotiable over here where I'm
at. Okay. So what's the best case scenario for you to happen in there? What would you want to happen in that scenario?
I would like somebody more than anything to just cut a check, pay off the first, pay me off, and get me out of it, and be done with Hawaii.
Are they able to do that even though they're listing it for $3 million? Is somebody able to come in and pay off first and second position?
Yeah, it has absolutely. They have no control over who carries that, who holds that note.
Okay, and so first position is 725, and second position is what?
Well, it's 700. Apparently, they paid it down a little bit.
Okay.
And mine is roughly 300. So I always tell people the first and the second are $1 million.
Okay.
That is they cannot, that's non-negotiable for them. That is a set figure. And basically they don't even need to know it changed hands. It's really not even, unless someone alerts them that it's now, if you wanted, you could keep LTV as the servicer of the
Yeah, no,
note.
yeah, I'm aware. They just kept that in the name. They just took over the payments and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The nice thing is somebody would be collecting a chunk of money. Now, what of course is going to happen the second that a notice of, a balloon payment comes out, they're probably going to stop making payments. And then they're going to go, oh shit, what are we going to do? Our note's been called.
Yeah.
So they'll be either, what are they going to do? They don't have 725. That's the thing. So.
Okay. So what are the details on this? How can I look at this? Because if I can help you with this, then maybe you can make a decision what you're going to do with the one in 29 Palms. So I'd still like to be able to help you out. I don't just look to purchase properties. I also look to help out scenarios like this because the average person who's purchasing cash normally can't help out this way. And if I can, it would help. It would help you, and it would help me get into maybe these properties.
Well, here's the best thing. Honestly, what I will do for you when we hang up, I'm going to send you a screenshot of my notice of default is what it really is, and you'll see my name on there, and then you'll see my partner's name, and then at the very bottom you'll see this guy named Bruce Herring. Bruce carries the first, a private party out of Laguna Beach, and he owns an ambulance business or something. And so he's best is to call him and email him directly and to bypass LTV because LTV is like a little sketchy. That guy's really like a hothead over there. Okay. So he gets really emotional. And it's like, this can't be emotional, It's not about that. He gets all caught up. Like you're not doing the thread right on your email. Yeah. Just little tiny things. You're like, what the heck are you talking about? So